7 reasons why they came back after you've gave them distance. Stoicism. Old Stoic wisdom. Sometimes you have to disappear, not to be forgotten, but to be truly seen. Welcome back, gentlemen, to Stoicism Win. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why they come back the moment you give them distance? Why the same person who once overlooked you, mistreated you, or treated you as nothing more than an emotional convenience suddenly starts reaching out, thinking about you non-stop, haunted by the silence you left behind? It's not magic. It's not manipulation. It's old wisdom, Stoic wisdom. The answer lies in what happens the moment you cut the strings and stop playing the role of their puppet. When you finally stop pouring your energy into someone who never truly appreciated your presence, something remarkable begins to unfold. They feel your absence. Not just notice it, they feel it. Like a cold draft through a room that was once warm with your presence. This isn't ghosting. This isn't punishment. This is power reclaimed. You were once their emotional stabilizer, the steady hand, the one who showed up, the one who made things easy. But here's the Stoic truth. They never saw your value because you made it too available. Just like Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. And if it is not appreciated, do not stay." So you pull back. You step into your strength. You stop offering your attention like a beggar, hoping for crumbs. And in that silence, they begin to unravel. They go through their day, but it feels off. The morning message isn't there. Your voice isn't in their ear. The emotional support, the validation, the presence that once anchored them? Gone. Replaced by a gnawing void. And no amount of distractions, dates, or dopamine hits can fill that space. Because what's missing is you. Now listen closely, because this part matters more than anything. Your absence only becomes powerful when you use that time to become more than who you were when you left. Walking away isn't enough. The comeback only works when you return transformed or choose never to return at all. So many men get it wrong. They disappear hoping to be chased, thinking silence alone will flip the script. But true Stoicism demands more. You pull back not to manipulate, but to elevate. You cut ties not out of spite, but because you finally see your worth. You are not an option. You are not a convenience. You are the prize. And only when you believe that will they begin to. Absence sharpens love. Presence strengthens it. Let that truth settle deep. Your distance creates space for clarity. And if there's a real connection, it will rise. If there's not, then you just dodged a lifetime of being someone's second best. So before we move forward into the 7 reasons why they come back, understand this. Distance without self-mastery is just running away. But distance backed by purpose, growth, and unshakable identity, that's what makes them crave you, miss you, chase you. Now, if you're ready to own that energy, declare it right now in the comments. I am highly valuable. Let the world hear you. Let yourself believe it. You are no longer their puppet. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You've chosen yourself. Let's move forward, brothers. The real reasons they come back are just ahead. Number 1. The shock of unexpected growth. Here's the first reason they come back when you give them distance. Because your silence didn't break you. It built you. You see, they thought they knew you. Thought you'd always be within reach, predictable, constant, always waiting. But what truly stuns them isn't your absence, it's what you did with it. You didn't just go quiet, you transformed. While they expected you to wither, you sharpened. While they assumed you'd crawl back, you leveled up. You hit the gym, you leveled your mind, you elevated your life. And now, the person they once underestimated walks with presence, with peace, with power. That, my friend, is what they never saw coming. This isn't revenge. This isn't a show. This is Stoic rebirth. Real growth isn't loud, it's undeniable. And when they cross paths with this new version of you, when your energy no longer seeks them, when your eyes hold no regret, they're hit with a kind of shock they can't process. You shattered the version of you they held in their mind, and now they're left scrambling to make sense of it. How did he become this? What happened when I wasn't looking? That confusion, that hunger to understand, is what draws them back. It's human nature to chase what we don't fully grasp. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what you did. You stopped chasing, stopped explaining, stopped waiting. And in that silence you turned inward. You built a life so full they no longer recognize where they fit in it. That's what hurts them most. Not that you left, but that you became better after you did. They expected a man wounded by distance. Instead, they found a man who turned solitude into strength. A man they no longer own. A man who doesn't need them, but is now desired by them more than ever. So if you've ever been taken for granted, let them think you're gone. Let them underestimate your silence, and then let your growth speak for itself. That's the shock they'll never recover from. Drop a comment below if you felt this shift, and type, "I became the man they never expected." Like this video, subscribe for more timeless Stoic wisdom, and remember, disappear with purpose, and come back unrecognizable. Number 2. The magnetic pull of self-sufficiency. When you give someone distance and begin walking the path of self-sufficiency, you're not just removing your presence, you're changing the gravitational pull around you. You stop orbiting their world and instead become your own sun. And that shift doesn't go unnoticed. You see, one of the deepest truths about human nature is that we're wired to chase what feels complete without us. We're fascinated, even mesmerized, by those who stand tall on their own, who don't beg for attention or cling for affection. That's where the old Stoic wisdom becomes relevant. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. This timeless philosophy teaches us the real strength begins when you realize you were never meant to rely on external approval. You were meant to discover your own value. Picture a man who once poured all his energy into a woman, texting, checking in, pleasing, pursuing. But now, he's pulled back. Not to play games, but because he's finally chosen himself. He's investing in his body, his goals, his peace. He's found joy in his own rhythm, not in chasing anyone else's. And slowly, the woman who once dismissed him as too available now feels something strange. A pull. A quiet craving to reconnect. Why? Because he's no longer the man orbiting her. He's the man building a life she now wants to be a part of. That's the paradox. The more grounded and fulfilled you become, the more you radiate what others wish they had. This isn't about arrogance or putting on a show. It's not about faking distance or pretending you don't care. No, this is about genuinely loving your own life so much that you no longer need others to complete it. That authenticity shines brighter than any tactic or trick. It's what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And once you replace anxious thoughts of needing someone with powerful thoughts of becoming someone, everything changes. You no longer reach out desperately. You no longer chase. You walk with purpose. And that purpose creates a presence people remember, even in your absence. Now let's bring this to the modern world. Think about the man who gets ghosted and responds by bettering himself. He's in the gym, reading books, traveling solo. He doesn't post to make others jealous. He doesn't flaunt it. He lives it. And sure enough, the silence he once received turns into a message. "Hey, how have you been?" That message is not random. It's a signal of the magnetic pull that's forming around him. People feel when your energy changes. They sense when your validation no longer depends on them. And ironically, that's when they want it the most. This is the wisdom behind the Stoic man's silence. It's not passive, it's powerful. It's a declaration that says, "I respect myself too much to beg for what I deserve." That's not revenge. That's evolution. When you stop centering your world around others and start building a life that excites you, the world begins to turn in your direction. That's when they come back. Not because you pushed them to, but because your energy pulled them in. So ask yourself this: are you choosing to be self-sufficient to attract them? Or are you doing it because you finally understand your worth? The real power comes when the answer is the latter. Because when you no longer need their attention to validate your value, you unlock a level of confidence that can't be faked. That's when they see the new you, and they're drawn, not to what you used to give, but to the man you've become. And now, I want to hear from you. In the comments, share. What's one thing you're doing today to build your self-sufficiency? Your story might inspire someone else to walk the same path. Remember, the Stoic doesn't seek admiration. He commands it through quiet strength. Keep walking forward and let your growth be the loudest thing they remember about you. Comment it now. I am the son of my own universe. Number 3. The envy of your newfound confidence. Let me tell you something most people will never admit. When you pull away and become a man reborn, silent, grounded, radiant in your own energy, those who once overlooked you begin to feel something they can't quite name. But we'll name it here: envy, not the petty kind, not the jealous outbursts of a threatened ego, but the deep, aching kind that admires what it once didn't respect. You've stopped being the man who waited for a text, who bent over backward to please, who asked for crumbs of affection. That man no longer exists. You've been replaced by someone who walks with purpose, who owns the room without saying a word, who smiles not out of need, but out of choice. And the ones who once took you for granted, now they watch you with wide eyes, masking admiration with casual glances. But you see it. You feel it. You know you've shifted the power. That quiet, self-assured presence. That is what they now crave. You see, when you withdraw to invest in yourself, when you build your mind, your health, your discipline, you become what Stoics called autarkies, self-sufficient. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That's what you've done. You didn't fight back with words, you rose with action. You didn't chase, you conquered. And now, their envy grows not because they hate your success, but because they wish they had your peace, your unshakable presence, your quiet dominance. And it stings, not because you've hurt them, but because you've shown them who they could have been if they had chosen growth. Picture it. You used to be the one asking, "What are we?" Now you're the one they wonder about. You used to seek their validation. Now they seek yours. The tables didn't just turn. You built a new table. They watch you from a distance, trying to understand the glow in your eyes, the calm in your voice, the strength in your silence. They hear about your progress, your business growing, your health improving, your smile returning, and they say they're proud of you. But inside, that whisper grows louder. Why didn't I value him when I had him? That's the voice of regret dressed in envy. And it's loud, because while they were distracted by games, by attention from others, by their own ego, you were leveling up. And now, you're ahead. You're not chasing anymore. You're choosing. And that drives them wild. Because the man you are now, he doesn't beg. He doesn't wait. He leads. And that kind of confidence, it's intoxicating. You see, confidence is not about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the calmest, the stillest, the most unmoved, and that shakes people more than shouting ever could. As the philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty." That's the power you've stepped into, the power of a man who needs nothing from anyone but chooses everything with clarity. This shift makes them crave you again, not because of nostalgia, not because of history, but because you've become a mystery, a force, a presence, and they want access to that power again. But here's your test, brother. Don't hand it over. Let them feel the distance. Let them sit in their regret. Let them come to terms with the fact that while they were sleeping, you were becoming. And now they can't stop thinking about you. They crave the energy you carry, the clarity in your eyes, the unbothered smile, because that confidence you've cultivated, That's the real prize. That's what makes them come back, not out of pity but out of awe. So my question to you is this: are you still chasing, or have you become the storm they never saw coming? Have you stepped into your light, or are you still waiting for someone to turn it on for you? Confidence is not optional, it's survival, it's power, it's attraction. So build it, sharpen it, defend it, because once you stand tall, grounded in your own worth, people won't just come back. They'll return humbled, watching you from a place of reverence. And when that happens, remember this: you are the one who changed the game, not by force, but by mastery, not by demand, but by discipline. So if this message hit home, like this video, subscribe for more Stoic strength, and in the comments type, "I built this confidence to declare your transformation." Stay sharp, stay grounded, and never let anyone dim what you fought so hard to ignite. Number 4. The intrigue of unpredictability. When you pull away and create distance, one of the most magnetic shifts that begins to work in your favor is the power of becoming unpredictable, no longer the predictable man they once categorized and placed neatly into their mental box. For a long time, they thought they had you figured out: your patterns, your moods, your next move. You were the guy who showed up on time, reached out first, said yes every time they needed you, and responded with the same emotional routine. You were consistent, but in their eyes, that consistency turned into predictability, and predictability slowly became invisible. But then, you disappeared. You withdrew. You chose silence over validation, purpose over people-pleasing. And now, everything feels different. You're not replying like you used to. You're not chasing like you did. You're not showing up on command. And that's when the questions creep into their mind like smoke in a closed room. Where did he go? Why isn't he reaching out? Who's occupying his time now? That uncertainty is what keeps them hooked. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The secret of all victory lies in the organization of the non-obvious." You've become that non-obvious. You've created a version of yourself that no longer plays by their script. And this shift, this new enigma you've become, is what flips the entire dynamic. The human brain craves novelty, and in relationships, the most addicting form of novelty is mystery. People don't fantasize about the things they understand. They obsess over the things they can't quite figure out. It's like reading a novel where the next chapter refuses to be predictable. You turn every page with more urgency, more attention, more desire to know what happens next. That's exactly what happens to them when you detach and evolve. When they can't anticipate your behavior, they become the ones watching, waiting, wondering. They replay old conversations, revisit your social media, analyze your last words. And here's where it gets deeper. Unpredictability isn't about playing games. It's about showing growth. It's about shifting your energy inward, leveling up silently, and allowing your silence to speak volumes. Your absence now feels louder than your presence ever did. You've taken the reins of control without even raising your voice. That's what makes you powerful. And now, the irony is brutal. They used to ignore you because they were certain you'd always be around. But now they crave you because they're no longer certain of anything. As the great Rumi once said, "Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure." Your unpredictability is the cure to their indifference. It stirs them, it haunts them, it wakes them up. So I ask you, brother, how are you leveraging your unpredictability today? Have you stepped back enough to let them feel the gap you left behind? Have you changed enough to become unrecognizable in all the best ways? Because in the end, they don't return for the same version of you. They return for the version they no longer understand. The version that makes them wonder if they ever knew you at all. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What's one unpredictable shift you've made that left them speechless? Let's talk about it. Let's grow, and let's keep them guessing. Number 5. The realization of what they've lost. Let's get real about something powerful, something men of wisdom understand all too well, the 5th reason why they come crawling back after you've given them distance, the brutal, humbling realization of what they've lost. This isn't about petty revenge. This is about truth revealing itself in silence. When you finally remove yourself, physically, emotionally, spiritually, from someone who took you for granted, a shift begins to occur in their world. At first, it's subtle. The absence of your voice, your support, your calm presence. It's easy for them to dismiss it in the beginning. They might even trick themselves into thinking you'll come running back like before. But Stoic wisdom teaches us this. He who does not value you when you are present will be tormented by your absence. That's the moment of awakening. Slowly, like fog, lifting from the mind, they begin to realize something is missing, and not just something, but someone. You. You were the rock, the one who listened when they were lost, the one who stood by them without asking for applause. You were consistent, reliable, deep, and they thought it would never end. But now, your silence screams louder than your presence ever did. You stopped calling. You stopped checking in. You no longer orbit around their chaos. And that emptiness? It's not just uncomfortable, it's devastating. They replay old conversations, remember how safe they felt in your presence, how your words carried weight, how your eyes held understanding, and suddenly nothing around them compares. The new people in their life? Surface level. The moments that once seemed fun? Shallow. What they once called freedom now feels like loneliness, because it lacks the soul you brought. This moment of realization is like misplacing something irreplaceable, a family heirloom, a rare gift, and not noticing until it's too late. At first, you assume it'll turn up, but time makes the loss heavier. You feel the sting of regret. And more than that, you feel the shame of not treasuring it when you had the chance. That's what they're going through now. Your distance has exposed the truth. They were not ready for your depth, your loyalty, your power. But the irony is, now that you've evolved, they're not even sure if they're worthy of you anymore. That uncertainty, that fear of losing you permanently, creates a magnetic pull. Because now, you're not just someone they miss, you're the standard they can't replicate. This is the power of emotional contrast. When you were there, they got used to your light. When you left, darkness reminded them of the warmth they never thanked. No text, no message, no casual date can replace the soul imprint you left behind. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the value of a man should be seen in what he gives and not in what he is able to receive. You gave something real, and in your absence, they finally understand the weight of that gift. But now you hold the power, not to punish, not to gloat, but to remain grounded. You don't chase, you don't justify, you don't return just because they woke up late. You let the silence speak louder than 1,000 explanations ever could. So here's my advice to you, brother. Stand firm. Continue your growth. Let your peace be your power. Because what they feel now isn't just longing, it's the agony of finally seeing your worth through the lens of regret. And if they do come back, remember this truth. You are not the same man they left. You're stronger, wiser, more complete. Let them earn the right to experience the upgraded version of you. And to every man listening, have you ever had someone return after finally realizing your value? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be the mirror someone else needs to face today, because this is how the game changes from being taken for granted to being remembered as the one they never should have lost. Comment to remember, my silence taught them my worth. Number 6. The unshakable pull toward your evolutionary journey. Let me tell you something powerful, something most men ignore until it's too late. When you stop chasing, when you go silent and turn your pain into purpose, something extraordinary happens. You evolve. You stop being the version of you they once knew, the one who tolerated the bare minimum, who gave everything without being valued. Instead, you rise. You reinvent. You begin building a life so purposeful, so magnetic, that it forces the world, including those who once overlooked you, to take notice. Like Marcus Aurelius once said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. And your revenge? It's silent. It's graceful. It's becoming better without needing applause. As you step back and focus on self-discipline, growth, and clarity, your new path begins to shine like a lighthouse, steady, unmoved by the waves of past drama. And those who once thought you were replaceable now see you as untouchable. They feel the void, not because you're gone, but because you're now someone they can no longer reach without leveling up themselves. That's the secret. You've upgraded your mindset, your habits, your circle, and suddenly, you've become the destination. Your journey becomes the show they wish they had tickets to. They scroll through your social media or hear whispers from mutual friends, and deep down, they feel it. FOMO in its rawest form. They're not just missing you. They're missing the ride they never appreciated. They start asking themselves, am I even good enough for the version of him that exists today? And that question stings, because now the tables have turned. You're not chasing, you're attracting, you're not available, you're selective, and suddenly your energy demands respect. You didn't do this to get them back, you did it to reclaim yourself. And in doing so, you've made them question everything. That's reverse psychology at its finest, when they think they walked away, but now they're the ones trying to find a way back in. And let's be clear, they don't get a ticket to your future just because they regret your past. This is your story now. So I ask you, what chapter are you writing today? What new standard have you set? What boundaries are you no longer willing to break? The moment you stopped asking to be chosen, you became the one who does the choosing. And that, my friend, is where real power lives. If you feel this truth in your bones, hit that like button to affirm your transformation, subscribe to fuel your Stoic journey, and in the comments write, I am evolving, and they know it. Because when your glow becomes undeniable, they won't just miss you, they'll crave to be part of the light you now carry. Number 7. The fear of losing you to someone else. The fear of losing you to someone else isn't just a passing discomfort, it's a deep, unshakable dread that gnaws at their core once they realize you're no longer waiting in the shadows. This isn't about sweet memories or fading affection. This is about something far more primal, the fear of replacement. When you step back, focus on yourself, and rebuild silently with dignity, something terrifying happens in their mind. You become radiant. You rise. You glow with a calm, confident energy that demands respect without asking for it. They watch from afar as your laughter returns, your peace deepens, and your energy becomes magnetic. What began as mild curiosity becomes fear, real fear, because now they wonder, what if someone else sees it? What if someone else recognizes your worth, the version of you they ignored, mistreated, or took for granted? That thought alone strikes them like lightning. It's not jealousy in its childish form. It's the soul-wrenching realization that they let something extraordinary slip away. And worse, someone else might step in and cherish what they never truly saw. Suddenly, it's not just about missing you. It's about losing their place, their access, and their illusion that you'd always be there. They see a vision of you in someone else's arms, laughing in a way they never earned, smiling in a love they never gave, being admired by someone who actually gets you. And that vision burns. That fear turns into obsession, and obsession turns into craving, not because of love, but because of the terrifying idea that you, the one they once controlled, have now become untouchable. And here's the real twist. You're not doing any of this for them. You're not seeking revenge. You're not posting for attention. You're simply living in your power, minding your business and walking with purpose. That's what stings the most. You're no longer theirs, not emotionally, not physically, not spiritually. You've outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated less than you deserve. You've evolved, and that evolution is their reckoning. As Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. And now you are no longer a want. They realize you were always the need. But you're gone, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. So let them sit with that. Let them feel the emptiness they created. Because when a man learns his worth, he doesn't beg to be seen. He walks in silence and lets his absence do the talking. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever seen someone come crawling back, not out of love, but out of the fear that someone better might finally recognize your value? Drop your experience in the comments and remind the world you are not just someone's regret. You are the prize, and your silence is the loudest statement they'll ever hear. Remember, when you disappear with purpose, you don't just walk away, you rise beyond reach. If this spoke to you, like, subscribe, and share it forward. Comment to remember, I rose beyond reach. And there you have it, my friend. If you've ever wondered why someone suddenly comes back after you've given them distance, now you know it's not magic, it's the power of your self-respect. The wisdom of the Stoics has stood the test of time for a reason. It teaches us that silence, strength, and self-control speak louder than chasing ever could. So here's my advice to you. Don't beg, don't chase, don't explain. Just elevate. Let your absence teach the lesson your presence never could. You don't need to play games to win. Just live with purpose, move with dignity, and watch how they come running back, realizing what they lost when they thought you were replaceable. If this message resonated with you, like this video, show the algorithm that Stoic power matters. Subscribe to this channel for more wisdom, more strategy, more strength. And in the comments below, type